In this lesson, we are going to modify the function chatgpt-send and chatgpt-callback such that calling the function chatgpt-send deletes the prompt buffer window, and when we receive a response from OpenAI, the buffer chatgpt request with the prompt and the responses pops up. Before we modify the behavior of the command chatgpt-send, we are going to split it into two functions, chatgpt-send and chatgpt-send-request. And in chatgpt-send, we are going to call the function chatgpt-send-request. So let's define first the function chatgpt-send-request. That takes a prompt, and so we are going to change its docstring. So send the request with prompt to OpenAI. It no longer has to be a command, so we remove interactive and we remove the prompt because we pass it as argument of the function. So we evaluate that expression which define chatgpt-send-request, and now we are going to define the function chatgpt-send. More exactly, the command chatgpt-send. So this is like that. It takes no argument, and that function send the current prompt to OpenAI. So the current prompt is going to be the content of the prompt buffer. Interactive because we want it to be a function command. And finally, we are going to call ChatGPT send request with a prompt which is going to be buffer string, so the content of the prompt buffer, because we call chatgpt-send in the prompt buffer. So now we evaluate that expression which define chatgpt-send. Now we call chatgpt, which pops up the prompt buffer, and we are going to send the hello prompt. So we do Ctrl+C, which sends the request, and we can now go into that buffer and see that everything is working well. In this section, we are going to modify the command chatgpt-send such that when we call it in the prompt buffer, after sending the request with chatgpt-send-request to OpenAI, we are going to remove the content of the buffer and also delete the prompt buffer window. So let's do that. In chatgpt-send function, we can use the function erase buffer, and then we can use delete window to delete the selected window. So we evaluate that expression which redefines chatgpt-send. We call chatgpt to select the prompt buffer, and now we are going to press Ctrl+C to call chatgpt-send, and we see that the prompt buffer window has been deleted. And let's check by calling ChatGPT to see if the prompt buffer is empty. So the prompt buffer is empty. This is what we wanted. One catch with this is that using the function delete window can delete the whole Emacs frame if there is only one window. So we want to check that there is at least two windows before using that function. Now we can use the function window list. Okay, that function. So we evaluate that last expression, and we see in the echo area that we have right now only one window in the Emacs frame. Let's call ChatGPT such that we have two windows, and now we call again that last expression, we evaluate, and we see in the echo area now that we have two windows. So we are going to do a check on the number of elements in that list to see if we call delete window or not. So we can do something like that. So the length, we have it, and we want this to be greater than 1 strictly, and we want a when. So when this is true, we want to call delete window. So we evaluate that expression, and now we are going to do two calls. So we call ChatGPT, let's put hello again, and we are going to press Ctrl+C to see if it still works. So it seems to be working, and now we are going to call again ChatGPT, and we are going to have that Windows only in the frame, so we have no other windows, and we are going to call Ctrl+C again, and normally this will just erase the content of that buffer but not delete the window. So let's do that. So it's working, and let's continue with the next part of that lesson. So far, whenever we receive a response from OpenAI, we have to switch to the buffer ChatGPT request to see that response. In this section, we are going to modify the function ChatGPT callback such that when we receive a response to OpenAI, we pops up the buffer ChatGPT request like this, and we also display the response at the top of that window, like this. So let's see how we can do that. And we start with a little bit of Emacs Lisp. We bind the variable buff to that buffer, and now we're going to use the function display buffer to display the buffer buff, and we pass it nil as action list. So we evaluate that expression, and this displays the buffer like that. So this is great, but now what we want to do is to do something in that buffer. We want to go at the end, look for the last response, and put that last response at the top of the windows. So how we can manipulate that buffer and do stuff in it. Here, display buffer returns the window it displays. So we can use the macro with selected window, which will select the window displayed by a display buffer. And now in that buffer, because this put the buffer buff as current, so we can operate on it. Here we can do stuff. So for instance, we are started just by inserted foo with two new lines to see something happening. So let's evaluate that expression that pops up this buffer, and we see that we've inserted foo. Okay, great. Let's undo that. We can use the function undo. We evaluate that expression, and we just undo that that operation. Let's continue. This is not what we want to do. What we want to do is to go to car, and we want to go at the end of that buffer. Let's evaluate that expression, and we see now that the point is at the end of the buffer. Great. Now we want to, once we are at the end of the buffer, we want to go backward and look for the response heading. So re-search backward, and we are going to search for the response. So we evaluate that, and pay attention to the point. Now, the point in the buffer ChatGPT request is at the beginning of the line response. Great, we're almost done. Last thing to do will be to recenter this and put response at the top of the windows. To do that, we can use the function recenter top bottom, and we pass it the value 0. So let's do that right now, and we see now we get the whole thing done. So we have the buffer displayed, and also the response put at the top of that window. Let's integrate that snippet into the function ChatGPT callback. So we copy this, we go here. Now we want let buffer, so the buffer is going to be this one. Now we replace this by buff, so we are almost done, and then at the end we want to pass not this one but this one. We've selected Windows, display buffer nil. Okay, so this is what the previous snippet. Now we evaluate that expression which redefine ChatGPT callback, and let's try that. So we call ChatGPT. In that buffer we are going to put foo bar baz as a prompt. We press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+C, which send the request, and okay, Now we've received the response from OpenAI. This displayed the buffer like this at the bottom and also put the response at the top. Finally, we are going to notify in the echo area when we send a request to OpenAI and when we receive a request from OpenAI. To do that, we are going to modify the function chatgpt-send and we add at the end a call to the function message with the following message. So request sent to OpenAI. This is OK. And now we evaluate that expression which redefines chatgpt-send. And now we modify the function chatgpt callback and we also add a call to the function message, and this time the message is a response received from OpenAI. So we have that. We evaluate that expression which redefines chatgpt callback, and now we are going to call chatgpt function with the prompt hello. We press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+C, and we see request sent, and we also see response received from OpenAI. So that's it for the notification. In the next lesson, we are going to handle the responses from OpenAI that are in fact API errors.